Welcome to the Thriving Soulpreneur podcast. This is a space where we talk about human design, spirituality, and neuroscience, all applied to business and money. My purpose is to help struggling solopreneurs to run sustainable businesses, to become financially resilient, and to create powerful change within their communities and beyond. I am your host, Andrea Niño de Guzman, a numbers girl and neuro geek who left the corporate world to do what she does best, to catalyze transformations. I am thrilled and honored to have you here, and I really hope to serve you in the best way possible. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this new episode of the Thriving Soulpreneur podcast. My name is Andrea, and just like always, it's great to have you here. So I have news for you. This past weekend, I decided to move everything to transform all my pricing into a sliding scale. So now all my services are priced based on a sliding scale. So all human design readings, the membership, the monthly membership, the quarterly membership, and resiliency to prosperity, and this new offer that I'm creating, everything is now priced under a sliding scale. And this is something that I've been thinking about for a while, but after some research, I wasn't able to find concrete, tangible experiences of how to go about it. And then I decided over the weekend to just jump in and see what came out of it. And that's basically what I did. I'm still experimenting with it, but I actually wanted to share my experience with you, so that if you are considering moving towards a sliding scale, you can use this podcast as another resource that could help you for yourself, for your business, or even for your clients. So now, before I start, I just want to make it clear that, the sliding scale is a tool that is really important in a social context, because what it does and the purpose of it is that it allows many minorities, underprivileged groups, immigrant groups, people who cannot or are not able to make more money due to their maybe social circumstances or political circumstances or geographical or maybe even financial restrictions. Because of external circumstances, they're not able to access specific products, or they're not able to afford specific products. So with a sliding scale, what happens is that you make those products more affordable, so that you can also fit in those types of demographics, right? So that these types of minorities are able to access the same services the same way that people of privilege would. So it's a really, really interesting tool. And I sense that, as the world evolves, we're going to start hearing more about it. We're going to start seeing more examples, not just in services, but in other industries as well. But what I'm going to share is how I've approached it, focusing on the coaching industry and focusing on the online service industry. All right. So why this is important for me and why I decided to go through with this was because, I don't know if you're aware, but there's a lot of changes that have been going on in the online coaching industry, specifically in business coaching. There are many coaches who are being called out because of their pricing of their offers, because they are not delivering what they promise, because they are not offering. They're not having any refund or exit clauses in place, because they're basically bullying their clients into paying these exorbitant fees, even when the client no longer wants to participate in the program, or they're not allowing the clients to leave the program and forcing them to pay them, and even threatening them to sue them or pursue legal action against them if they stop paying, or if they share these negative experiences online. So there's so many predatory practices that are coming online and on the coaching space, and not to mention the fact that there are many coaches who are not prepared to be coaches, who are gaslighting their clients, who are in some cases abusing their clients in so many ways. So there's a lot of changes going on, and for me, it's important to witness these changes because, the coaching industry isn't regulated. And in a way, I feel like this is a wake-up call for all of us to start doing business in a way that is more ethical, to start doing business in a way that is true to our intentions, and move away from these practices that are predatory and they're just wrong on so many levels from my perspective, right? And I sense that pricing is one of the areas that needs to be addressed. And this is especially for those coaches, for those solopreneurs or service-based entrepreneurs who are working with people who are either just starting online or who don't have established businesses yet. So people who are just very new to the online context. This is even more crucial. This is even more important to start know, connecting with more ethical practices regarding prices. And I've seen, and I've been coaching online full time since 2019. And in these 4 years that I've been in business, I've been sucked into this cycle or like this rabbit hole of high ticket pricing, right? Where you start viewing the value of a program, the value of a mastermind based on how much it costs. So it's very common, for example, to see masterminds that go for $10,000 a month, for single sessions to go for more than $1,000 per hour. It's very common for even like basic group programs to be priced at no less than $10,000 for the duration of the program. So while I'm not here to criticize the price and I'm not here to tell you whether that's good or bad, I am here to bring you awareness on how triggering it can be. And that's my thing. It's not the price per se, but it's how triggering it can be, especially for somebody who is very new in the business. Because when you start a business online and when you're very new to this whole online space, you obviously see people having tremendous amounts of success. You will obviously want to have as much success as they want. So you start kind of like following these people, following these practices. And in a way, you start feeling this pressure to invest in these high-end coaches because you also, you want access to their codes, to their secrets, to their magic formula, because you want to succeed in your business, right? And out of experience, as somebody who has gotten herself in a lot of debt because of these types of investments, as somebody who has invested a lot in multiple coaches and in multiple programs, I can say about 80% of the time, what I got out from those programs was not worth the money that I invested. And in fact, I felt that I either had more experience than the 7-figure coach, or I walked out feeling very angry at myself for not trusting my own gut, for not trusting my guidance, for not trusting my experience. I felt ashamed for having invested so much and feeling duped because obviously there weren't any refunds. But there's this pressure to want to invest in these high ticket offers, and even go into debt, basically max out your credit cards or take a loan from others. There's so much pressure to invest in these things and in a way that is detrimental for yourself. So that's one of the things that I feel that needs to change. The other reason why I feel that pricing, how we approach pricing in the online business space needs to change is because it takes the focus of people and away from their true gifts. And I've witnessed this. Last year I was very much involved in this type of coaching and this type of space, and I observed many women who, these amazing business owners who were having these great results, but they would just dismiss these, their accomplishments, their achievements, because what they saw was that they were just so far away from the 100K mark. They were constantly comparing themselves to the 6-figure coach, to the 7-figure coach, and totally dismissing their own achievements, saying that it wasn't enough. It was always like, yeah, but I'm still not there. Yes, it's great that I'm failing out my class. It's great that I have so many people signing up for my masterclass or for my programs, but I'm still not there. So like in a way, their level of success or their level of acceptance or their level of recognition would only be activated when they were at the same level as their coach. And I sense like that's not right at the same time, right? You know, it's not right to completely disregard your own achievements, your own work, your own results because you are not at a supposed rate. I mean, who said that success is only achieved when you achieve 100K or a million in sales or 10 million or 100 million, whatever? Success is based on, so many different categories. And the third reason, and I think that this is also tied to number two, is I feel like we need to address pricing because it moves away our focus from what really matters. Because all of a sudden the focus is on achieving the standard of, the 100K, the 7-figure mark, the, X amount of money, but there's a complete disconnect to purpose. And that's what moved me away from this industry of why am I pursuing this? Why am I chasing the 100K? Is it because I want to be perceived in a specific way? Why am I chasing a 7-figure mark? Is it because of what? What is this money going to do in my life? Why? Is it going to allow me, buy 1,000 designer bags? Is it going to help me take trips to these fancy places? Is it going to help me live a life of luxury? But okay, it's all fun and good, but to what purpose? And I think that, there's more to our service than just living a life of luxury. Yes, luxury is fun, it's great, and we can all have it. But I really, really think, and I really believe in my core that our service, that what we are here to do goes beyond just how much money we're making or how, the things that we can buy with what our business generates. It's about income. It's about, I mean, not about income, it's about impact. It's how can we create an impact in the world? How can we catalyze transformation? How can we share our magic with as many people as possible? How can we positively impact, their lives forever? How can we be agents of change? How can we create these ripple effects of change where we're not just impacting, one or two, but they are also impacting 3 or 4, and we're just creating this whole system of change. And I sense that by staying stuck with these quote unquote standards of pricing or high ticket pricing or these supposed milestones in business, we're totally forgetting about impact. And for me, this is something that needs to be corrected immediately. We cannot be in a service-based industry wanting to help others, just being driven by how much money you want to make, or just by wanting to chase these specific milestones and achieve them, right? We've totally forgotten about what really matters. And why this comes into play and why this is related to the sliding scale, because I really feel that the sliding scale is a tool that can help us create a bigger impact, because it can help us create, it can help us expand our reach. It can help us impact more people. It can help us reconnect to that vision of purpose, of impact, of transformation, of change. And it can move the conversation away from just the monetary or superficial part of it into what really matters, which is providing service, which is being of service for others. For me, I think that it allows people that perhaps couldn't afford to work with me to start working with me now. And again, it's not just about the money, it's about helping, connecting with people who really need what I have to offer, who really could benefit from my experience, who could benefit from the services that I have, and from which I could also continue to learn, and I could continue to expand and also benefit, not just financially, but on a spiritual level, an emotional level, on a human level, because every coaching relationship is back and forth. You receive as much as you give, and it's not just the coach to the coachee, it's also the client to the coach. That it just, I feel it gives me, personally speaking, so much. I've learned so much from my clients, And I admire them so much for the type of work that they do, for the type of service that they do. And I really hope to keep on attracting those people that I just deeply, deeply admire. And I feel that I'm privileged to support them in their own journeys, right? So these are the reasons why I feel it was important to now switch my pricing model from a fixed pricing point to a sliding scale, because I really, really want to create and expand and impact more people. Now, I think it's clear for us to understand that, yes, I also want to make a lot of money. I am the main breadwinner at home. Um, I support two kids mostly on my own. Last year, I lost all my savings. I was literally left by end of May with $20 to my account. And I've been in a ton of debt and a ton of accounts to pay. And I've been slowly building myself up, right? I'm not white. I am Hispanic. I live in a developing country. I have my fair share of shitty money stories and fears. And, like many of you, my kids are going off to college in a few years, and I want to provide them with as many opportunities as possible. And I don't want them to feel stuck because of my economic situation. So, yes, I do want to have a business that is profitable, that is growing, that is sustainable. But I also know that it's not just that, it's greater than that. And I know that it's if the more that I focus on the impact, the more confident that I feel that the money is going to come, that the money is going to come to help me pay off my debts, to help me pay off my house, to help me pay for my children's education, to help me live a life that, that is aligned with my values and my needs at the moment and my children's needs, right? So for me, having the sliding scale in place allows me to do all of that. I feel that it is going to allow me to do all that. I feel that it's going to help me show my clients that, you don't need to reach an X level price, or you don't need to price your offers at these, levels in order to consider yourself successful. It's going to move the conversation towards impact and away from just monetary gain. And I feel that it's also going to open the conversation to what feels good about your business. And I feel that for me, this is a really key point of, my philosophy of doing business, my philosophy of coaching, which is bringing back the power to you, bringing back the power to what your intuition, what your inner guidance is telling you of what feels right for you right now. For me, moving my business to the sliding scale is what feels right for me in this moment. Do I have any hard data to prove this? Not at the moment. I am, as a 6'3", I'm all about experimentation. So I'm playing with it with no attachment, but just this genuine intention of serving and of expanding that impact. All right. Okay. So I'm off my soapbox, and now I'm going to go into the details, the more technological details of the sliding scale. So, like I mentioned before, the sliding scale, if we look at the official definition, it's a system for deciding payments or rates so that they change in relation to particular situations or particular conditions. And these conditions could be social, they could be financial, they could be geographical, you can decide what types of conditions you want to set in place. And as I was researching different sliding scale systems, I found, that the most common ones are, for example, pay what you can. So you let the client pay or choose a price, how much they want to pay you, whether it's $1, $10, or $20 or more, or $2,000. It's up to the client. So the price is open. There are multi-tiered systems where, depending on the level that they choose to pay, they get access to specific things. So they might, it's not bonuses, but they get access to a specific level of you. There are multi-pricing systems, based on narratives. There are multi-pricing systems based on, how much the average annual income. There are mechanisms to pay it forward. So, you establish a minimum price, but you also establish a higher price So those who pay a little bit more are supporting those who are paying a little bit less. And obviously, there are hybrids of all these. So when I was creating my system, so like with this, there isn't just a standard. It at this moment, I feel like it's there is no standard, and you just create a policy or a sliding scale that feels good to you or that makes sense to you. So I'm going to share how I created mine. And like I said, this is all being tested, right? So when I was doing the research, I found that there were many service providers who were using the 50, 75, 100 model. So they basically had three pricing points where the lowest price was about 50% less than the full price. Then the middle price had like a 25% discount, and then you had full price, right? I've also seen other coaches or other servicepreneurs who were using the 30, 70, 100 model. So the lowest price was 30% of the full price, the middle price was 70%, and then you had full price. So what I decided to do was a variation, and I decided to go for the 33, 66, and 100. So I just divide everything by 3. 100 divided by 3. So 1/3 would be my lowest price. 2/3 would be my middle price, obviously 100%. And then I added a pay it forward option, which includes a small price increase. Okay. So the lowest price, which would represent a 33% or 66% discount of the full price, is directed towards people who are single parents who maybe have they're taking care of their own parents or somebody else in their family, who maybe depend on only just one income, who are perhaps just starting their own business and they aren't making any income yet, who are probably struggling with a lot of debt. So they have significant debt that they have to deal with. Maybe they don't have access to insurance. So there's a lot of medical costs that they need to cover, out of pocket, who are maybe, living month to month. So they don't really have many savings left off, who are living in developing countries. So I created a narrative of the type of person who would be ideal to access this price point. So those who access my lowest price point are the ones who are in this financial or social or geographical situation. And I also determined, some factors that would help me identify if this person was a good fit, financially speaking. So, for example, if they're just starting with their business, if you want to work with me, I feel that it's really important for you to have another source of income. I'm not going to be the one that tells you, oh, if you work with me, you're going to make tons of money, and with that money, you can pay me. I find that, highly unethical. If you are struggling, if this person is struggling to make ends meet, then please don't hire me. Make sure that you're taking care of your own needs first, that you're taking care of your family's needs first, ahead of hiring a coach or hiring me as your recalibration person. Take care of that first, and then we'll talk. Because again, I've seen that this is something that happens in the industry where they could care less about what's happening with you and their family. I've heard so many stories of people who could not afford rent, who could not afford food because they had to pay these exorbitant fees to their coaches, right? And I don't want that kind of business. So, these are the key conditions that need to be set in place. You need to have a steady source of income. You need to be able to cover your costs, and you need to put yourself and your family first. And when I was crafting this narrative of the lowest price point, I pictured myself of what it was like for me when I was a single mom, when I was struggling financially, when I didn't have too much money, even like when I was left with those $20, because it was a very difficult time for me, financially speaking. So with that experience in mind, I created this narrative of how I could help, or what the price range and what the situation would be like for the type of people who would benefit from this lower tier, and the price points. So it basically is for people who are, struggling financially, who would really, really benefit from a highly discounted price, who are starting their business and who really at this point can't afford to invest anything else because they have all these other financial obligations. Okay. Then, so I first created the lower tier price offer, the narrative for the lower tier price. Then I created the narrative for the higher tier price, for the full price. This is what for me, the situation of somebody who could afford me to pay the full price of any of my offerings. So this would be somebody who, comfortably meets their expenses, who shares most of the family or house expenses with somebody else, whether it's a partner, a roommate, and with their parents. This is somebody who can afford to take yearly vacations without having this impact their finances in a negative way. This is somebody who's already investing, who has access to insurance, who, basically has a very stable situation financially speaking. They might have a job that pays them well, that covers everything comfortably, covers their expenses, or they have a business that is already growing, that is already, very stable, that is, that is providing more than enough for them to cover, or for them, it's providing enough money for them to invest in coaching and in their business. So these are people who have, more financial stability. So now that I had the narrative for both extremes, for the lower tier and for the full price, then I created the narrative for the middle point. And the middle point basically represents a 33 reduction from the full price, right? So for me, the people who would benefit from this middle price point would be people who, yes, they're able to meet their expenses, but in this moment, they're going through some unforeseen circumstances, like maybe their partner just got laid off, or maybe, they're facing a bunch of unexpected expenses, maybe legal expenses, maybe they're going through a divorce, maybe they have, something happened with their children. It's these situations that just happened and you were not planning for that, but they just shake you up financially. Maybe they're going through some sort of significant disruption in their life. And that's why they can't afford to pay full price. So it's not that they're struggling financially, but just in the moment, they're going through a lot. These might be people who are, they already have a business, but their business isn't generating a steady income just yet, or is not fully stable. Maybe they are in the process of paying off debt, and because they want to pay off debt, they're cutting costs. So these are people who are working towards their financial stability. So then I would have these three segments. So people who are, somewhat struggling financially, who are only dependent on one income, who have a lot of obligations, people who are working towards their financial stability and might be experiencing some disruptions, and people who are who have greater financial stability, who have a business that is already established, and who are more comfortable, who are better off or aren't experiencing any disruptions in their life at the moment. So then, once I had these three segments, then I created the additional one, which is the pay it forward option. And the pay it forward option basically adds 15% to the full price. And this is for people who are able to pay the full price, but are also interested in helping somebody else in need. So that extra charge, so that extra 15% would allow me to keep the lower end of the scale open and available for as many people as possible. And eventually, in the future, even lower that price point. Okay. So then once I had my 4 price points, the lower end of the price, the middle price, the full price, and the pay forward price, I took some time off and just sat with myself. And I connected. I'm a manifesting generator, so I connected with my sacral. And I went through each price and I asked myself, am I comfortable with this price? Because it's very easy for me to overgive and want to kind of like say, yes, I'll do it for free because I want to create an impact. It's very easy for me to go into the lower end And I know in the past, from past experience, that there's a sweet spot for me where if it's too low, it creates resentment for me, where I'm not as committed to my client, I'm not as committed to a service, where I see it as an issue because it's not helping me cover my costs. It's not helping me it's not helping me keep myself sustainable financially, right? So I really sat with the lower end, the bottom price. I sat with the higher price. Am I comfortable with this price? Again, do I believe that people are going to buy at this price? Do I believe that it's fair to charge at this price? Am I comfortable with the middle price? If 90% of the people went in for the middle price, would I be okay with it? So I just created these multiple scenarios of what would happen if, and I felt comfortable with all these price points. And this was really important because it wasn't a decision that was made from my head. Well, yes, the creation part of it was very analytical. The going, the pursuing, the finally deciding to go through this was a very intuitive decision. And so I was able to understand that I'm very or determined that I was very comfortable with these prices. And also looking into what my financial situation was like. Will these prices support my financial needs? Will these prices support my personal financial goals? As a main breadwinner, for example, just being fully transparent with you all, I need at least $10,000 to cover my basic needs and my debt payments. $10,000 a month. So, and I've heard so many critics online that says, oh, but if you're offering discounts or if you're offering a sliding scale, why not just offer it at the lowest price? Well, for me, that isn't a possibility just yet because I have all these other obligations towards my family and because I am the main breadwinner at home. So, offering everything at the lowest price wouldn't be sustainable for me. I wouldn't be able to be in business for too long. So I'm hoping that as I move forward with this, the right clients are going to line up in all 4 price points. I'm going to create that expansion. I'm going to be able to impact more people. And I'm really hoping that as this moves forward, then I'm going to be able to offer even maybe a lower tier to be able to reach more people because, especially with Resiliency to Prosperity, which is, program designed to help you reprogram your beliefs around money and sales. This is really necessary, but it's necessary on all levels. But for me, this is how I envision creating my impact of reaching the people who perhaps in the past would have seen my website, they would have seen my prices and would have automatically, ruled themselves out because they couldn't afford it at that time. Like it has happened to me in the past with many other programs. So right now I feel like this is a healthy starting point where I feel that it's accessible to many, but it's also sustainable for me and my family. And I know that there are other formulas online where you can look at your income and you can look at, your hourly rate. You can add so much math into this. I didn't go that way. I really just connected to keeping it simple, 33, 66, 100, and with a pay it forward option, and then sitting with the price and just connecting to my sacral to say, yes, this lights me up, or we need to change this. In terms of tech, what are your options? Unfortunately, most of the traditional services like Calendly, Acuity, other services that take payments for you they haven't caught up with the sliding scale model just yet. So what you're going to find is either pay full price or pay in installments. That's it. So yes, there are workarounds. You might have to create a few more offers for each individual price point. I know that Stripe does have some flexibility. So for example, I know that they support the pay what you can, or they have other different modalities in place. So you have to kind of think outside the box around the current tech limitations that are present, but it's something that's completely doable. Okay. And if you have any questions, if you need any help with in terms of tech, in terms of how to set this up, in terms of how to design this, reach out to me. more than gladly sit down with you and I can share from my experience. But why am I sharing with this and what I hope to achieve with this moving forward? Number one, it's to be able to reach more people, to have more conversations. Because like I said, many people look at offers and they decide if they, in the moment, if they can afford it or not. So if you have only just one offer, one price point, then a lot of people are ruling themselves out. But if you have multiple offers with multiple, price points, then I feel like people are more willing to open themselves up, to have that conversation, to consider it a possibility. Because again, money is an icky subject. It's an icky topic. And when they sense these high, when people see these high price points, it's very easy, especially if you are struggling or especially if something happened to you right now, it's very easy to rule yourself out instead of look at the possibility of how can we make this work? If I really believe in the offer, if I really believe that this offer is going to help me move forward, right? Now, the other part is the other part is, okay, yes, you have the sliding scale. Now you offer value. You offer a service that that is of value. You're not just offering fluff, but that's a whole topic for another episode. So one is that being able to reach more people. Number two is that I believe that with this, I am going to, make my dent in influencing the industry in a positive way. Moving away from this quote unquote standard of high ticket programs that are filled with fluff, towards offering, more grounded, value based programs that are priced at a reasonable price, that are affordable, that are ethically priced, that have, that are basically you're doing business at how you're supposed to do. You're not conning people. You're not selling them in thin air, right? And number three, I think personally, I believe that this new pricing model is going to help me. It feels good for me right now. It's when I think about it, it gives me a lot of peace. Because in the past I was worried, am I pricing? Is it too much? Is it too little? Will they afford it? Can they afford it? Should I price it lower? There was this constant chatter in my mind of, do I have the right price? And now that there's, so much variety for everyone from all walks of life, it takes the pressure off me. And it allows me to have that open, transparent conversation of, this is what's available. How can we make it work for you? And really focus on how I can best serve that person instead of having to worry about, whether the price is going to be an issue or not. Now, I know that this is not the standard. This last appreciation is based on my own conditioning, my own fears, my own gunk that I have to go through. So for right now, I sense that this is the way that I've set it up is the best way to go. Now, eventually, and something that I've learned from other examples from what I've read online is that, you're always tweaking. The sliding scale is always being tweaked until you find the sweet spot, until you find a model that not only works for you, but that works for your clients, for your ideal clients, and a model that really speaks to your clients' needs. You're always tweaking the narrative. You're tweaking, the different percentages. They're always tuning it. And I feel like that's also important, that it's not just a one time and it's set. As you get more information, you're constantly tuning your model. So I'm going to play around with it and I'm going to, eventually when I have more information, I'll be happy to share an update with you all. So if you want to look at my sliding scale in detail, you can head over to my webpage, www.angtransformation.com. Each of my offers has been adjusted regardless of the price. So now, the membership, which was, the full price is $100, is on a sliding scale. The human design readings and Gene Keys readings are all on a sliding scale. Resiliency to Prosperity, the 20-week program to help you reprogram your beliefs around money and sales, is also on a sliding scale. And the new program, Untether Momentum, is also going to be on a sliding scale. So you can look at it. You can look at my narratives. Feel free to take, if you want to implement your own sliding scale, you can use those narratives, or you can, I can gladly hop on a call with you and help you craft your own. And if you have any business questions on how to implement this for your business, feel free to shoot me a message on Instagram, on Facebook, and I'd be more than happy to help you and support you with this. Because I feel like this is something that our industry needs more of. All right. So you can find the links in the show notes. And definitely keep me posted with your comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. And yeah, that's it. So have an amazing week and let's stay connected. All right. Take care, everyone.